Welcome to Stunt Stories. I'm Corey Eubanks. Today I have a very, very special guest, very good friend of mine, a stuntman that I've looked up to and admired for many, many years, Mr. Gil Combs. Gil, thank you for being on Stunt Stories.
Thanks for having me, buddy. It's a pleasure, real honor.
You know what? For those who are listening right now, let me just let you know this. This man performed stunts in a film called Hooper. Okay? How freaking cool is that? If you have performed stunts in Hooper, you are a living legend. What did you do in that movie, Gil?
My dad rode a bucking horse, and I basically helped him wrangle the animal. I pulled his flank strap for him and stuff like that. And I actually worked as a teamster on that show too. I helped Bob Terhune and a few other people there over at Myers and Wills we made some of the teams for the chariot race and different things like that. So I kind of did a bunch of stuff on that show.
Now, your father, obviously, Gary Combs, he was your inspiration to become a stuntman. Is that correct?
Well, you know that, and before him, my grandfather, who started doing stunts back in the silent era, back in the 20s.
I did not know that, Gil.
Yeah, I mean, I'm third generation, so my grandfather, Del Combs, he started off back in the 20s, and then when the unions came into the business back in 35, at that time there was only two unions. There was Screen Actors Guild, and then there was the Teamsters. And the one of the divisions of the Teamsters to this day are still the Wranglers. Basically, you know what a Wrangler does, Corey, of course, but for those who don't, they're responsible for all the livestock, the horses, the cattle, whatever that works on the set. And my grandfather's real talent lied in the fact that he was a horse trainer. And so when the unions came in, the logical choice for him, rather than continuing doing stunts, was he went with the Teamsters. And he actually was, he wound up being the lot steward there at Universal, and was the head wrangler on Wagon Train, on the Virginian. And even before that, he was the trainer. He made that big white horse that the Lone Ranger rode called, Silver. He made that horse from just an old white stud.
No kidding.
And that horse basically worked at Liberty, which I know you understand, but for those who don't, he's like a dog. You could call him, send him, tell him kneel, rear, roll over, whatever. That's with hand and whip commands. My grandfather made that horse.
That is amazing that I've known you all these years, and you've never told me that. I didn't know that your grandfather was a stuntman as well.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Back in the old Max Sennett days and, Keystone Cops and stuff like that.
Holy smokes. Well, you go back quite a while. You started on Convoy.
Well, now easy on how far back I go home.
Yeah.
Back shit. Let's not go there.
1901 when you started.
Hey, look, I started back before electricity, but things got a lot better once they got that figured out.
Gil, didn't they have hand crank cameras? Didn't they have to crank the camera by hand?
I swear the next time I see you, I'm going to hurt you really bad.
Hey, what did you do in the Blues Brothers movie?
I was really blessed early on. It's kind of a blessing and a curse to have a name like Combs, being third generation, having a dad like my dad, Gary, who I don't think many would argue that is definitely some kind of an icon in the business. But getting back to Blues Brothers, his best friend probably in the business, he and Hal Needham, probably my dad's two best friends, was Gary McClarty. And, back in the day, I think we made that show in 79. I got in the business in 75. I'm a young stuntman trying to cut my teeth. And, Gary, God bless him, and I miss him, gave me a shot. And he had me on that show off and on for 3-4 months in Chicago, just doing all kinds of stuff, driving and blah, blah, blah. And as it turned out, I wound up doing my first turnover, my first pipe ramp on that show. I don't know if you remember the shot in the intersection where all the police cars kind of pile up on top of each other.
Yes.
Yeah. If you look at the film, I'm actually the third or a fourth car, depending on how you count them. The first two went in, and then I'm in the second group that goes in, the two that turn over. And my car is the only one where the door opens. The back door comes flying open.
Oh, no kidding.
So that's how I can tell which one's me.
Oh man! So you've done quite a few movies with Hal Needham. I mean, you did the Cannonball Run. We
did Cannonball. We did Stroker Ace. Hal was real good to my father. And look, let's be honest. If there hadn't been a Hal Needham, there wouldn't have been a Gary Combs. There wouldn't have been a Gary McClarty. There wouldn't have been a Gil Combs. Okay, so really, if you go back to the beginning of everything, if it weren't for Hal Needham, God love him, God rest his soul. He's the reason that there is a Gil Combs. Really?
Yeah. Hal. I mean, I was very, very honored to call him a friend. He was just. I mean, who didn't look up to him and just? I mean, he was like Superman.
Special about the man. He walked into a room and he had a presence about him.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he did it, but he didn't even have to try.
Yeah. What a double tough guy.
Oh,
what
definitely.
was that? There was what was a show called You Asked to See It, and didn't?
Oh, You Asked for It. It was called You Asked for It.
And tell about the
talking about that bulldog coming out of that plane.
Yes. How crazy insane was that? Gil, I would never have. Are you crazy? How about no? I will not do that.
Let me tell you what Needham told the story, and because my old man and I used to have lunch with Needham about once a month, the last 5-6 years of his life, and it was really a treat. And he talked about that stunt one time. The deal about it, and I wouldn't have done it either. It's like, are you kidding me? The deal was the pilot told him that when they, he was going to go as slow as he could, pull full flaps, whatever, in that Cessna, whatever he was flying on. But the other thing about it is once if they took off with him on the wing, they couldn't land with him on the wing. So in other words, if he got there and didn't do it, they couldn't land.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the story. And I'm trying to remember who was riding that horse.
Was it Jimmy Nickerson?
I don't know. It wasn't Nickerson. No, it was somebody like Orson or maybe even Stan Barrett. I can't remember.
Gil, think about that. You're a horseman. Think about that. Hey, we're going to have a guy jump out of an airplane and tackle you off a horse. I'd be like, no, I don't.
I don't know how it didn't kill both of them.
And the first, what happened the first take?
And cripple the horse. Well, you got one shot at it. You got one shot, and good Lord. Geez. I mean, it's just, this is the scariest footage I've ever seen.
Hey, what do you think of all, and I don't mean to use this term disrespectfully, but of all of the crazy things that you've done, because I know you are a professional stuntman. You're not a thrill seeker. You don't just go for it. But of all,
I always did it for the money, of course, because I need the money, Corey.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah, these darn bills that come every month.
Yeah, people just won't wait.
No. But what would you say is the one craziest stunt that you said to yourself? Your little inner voice was saying, "This is not a good idea."
That's a tough one.
Because you've done a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah, the one thing that people ask me a lot of times about what stunt am I the most proud of, and one of them, and there's quite a few. Look, I was a very blessed man. I worked for a long time for a lot of people, and I was lucky, like yourself now, when they thought of doing big wrecks and different things and timing and stuff, my phone rang. So I was very blessed in that regard. But the thing that keeps coming to mind for me is back in 1986. I'll never forget it because I was in Chicago. I was running a TV series called Crime Stories, and I got a phone call from this producer over at Saturday Night Live. And I can't remember how he got my number. Doesn't matter. But anyway, he said, I need you to come to New York, and I need you to do a full burn in a tank top T-shirt.
What?
Bare arms, bare head. And he says, can you do it? I said, I said, stunt guys, you never say no. He said, well, yeah, I think I can do that. As far as I knew, nothing like that had ever been attempted back in '86.
No.
So I said, yeah, I can get that done. Anyway, long story short, I experimented with probably 10 different kinds of fire gel. The Zell gel, the Aussie gel, all the stuff that was available at the time. And what I would do is I'd stand in my kitchen of my hotel room or my condo there in Chicago, and I'd put the stuff in the palm of my hand, and then I'd pour, kind of cut my hand a little bit, and I'd pour a pool of lighter fluid, and then I'd light that, and I'd had a stopwatch. And I'd stand there, and when it started to get real hot, I'd stop the watch and I'd put it out. Well, anyway, I wound up combining several different gels to make what I believe might have been the first what they call sculpting gel, which is now very common. It's very, very thick. And so I came up with this concoction, and I flew with myself and a friend of mine, a buddy of mine, Greg Brickman. We went to New York, and I met an old buddy of mine. I wanted another safety guy there, Frankie Ferrara, God rest his soul. You remember Frankie?
Oh, yes. What a great man.
And I had those two guys there. And anyway, I did this burn twice, full burn, good, flames 6 feet over my head, bareheaded and bare, armed with the sculpting gel. And as well as I do, most times you do a burn, you're going to get burned somewhere. A little bit.
Gil, let me ask you, did you use a sponge or something in your mouth so you didn't breathe in the flames? Or how did you, if it's going up over your...
I just put that stuff up my nose, the gel up my nose and in my ears, and I held my breath.
Oh, you just held your breath. Okay.
Yeah, and the first one I did was about 32 seconds, and then the second one I did was almost a minute.
Oh, my gosh.
Standing there. And the only reason I actually stopped the second one is it was starting to melt the gel in my ears, and I could hear it popping, and I'm thinking, man, I might be burning my ears off and not even know it.
Oh my gosh. I hate fire.
So I go down, I dove into the thing, and they had, wet Fernie blankets they covered me up with. And if there were any of the flames, they put it out with the extinguisher. But anyway, that's one I'm kind of proud of, because I know there's a couple other guys, one guy in particular that saw the picture of it on the wall years later, and he became a big fire guy and started doing it, the whole thing in like a G-string, basically using the same idea that I came up with back in the 80s.
Wow.
So, yeah. So anyway, that's the one I'm probably the most proud of.
I can still remember when you were doing that show up in Canada with your dad. What was it called? A Hardcastle in McCormick?
Well, actually, we did Hardcastle in L.A., but when Cannell moved to Canada in the late 80s, early 90s, yeah, we went up there and did a bunch of different shows for Cannell. We did Wise Guy. What was the other ones we did up there?
But what I was going to say, when you were doing that Hardcastle,
21 Jump Street,
21 Jump Street,
yeah, those were all in Canada.
But I remember watching, and you would do those turnovers. For those of you who don't know what a turnover is, or we call it a pipe ramp. Yeah. It's this 2-inch wide ramp that's very, very steep. It's sometimes 5.5 feet high, and 12 to 15 feet long, and depending on how it's designed and built. But the idea is
different geometry for different things you want the car to do.
Yeah,
exactly.
But you took the bar and raised it so freaking high. I remember seeing you hit those pipe ramps and do complete 360, start to do another 360 before you'd even hit the ground, and then hit the ground and tumble and crash. And I'm like, holy shit! I can't believe.
Well, you know, it was really funny because the one I know, the one you're talking about, it made the titles of 21 Jump. They would run it in the titles, and because it went so high and everything, and so big, and I don't know if you remember the music, but when they went to it in the titles, they would say jump, and then with boom, they'd cut into this thing going up into the deal. And my father is funny. He asked me, because he flew me up there to do it. I'll be honest with you, Henry Kinsey was supposed to do it because he was already there doing a show, and they want to save the money. But anyway, he couldn't make it, or I think Disney found out he was going to do that. He was playing a part there on a Disney show. They're like, no, you're not doing that, because he's doing another part. If he gets hurt, they're screwed.
Right.
I fly up there. I do this thing, get this thing set up. We picked a ramp. And the thing was, I needed to get up and over a couple of parked cars and a couple of stunt guys that were shooting at me. That was the whole point. I needed to get a lot of air. So I added a kicker to the thing. And, anyway, so long story short, my old man, he says, I remember I went to him before we got to shoot it, and it's a night shot. And I says, how fast you want me to come, Dad? He says, come fast as you dare. I said, okay, all right. Well, you know what? He never said that to me again.
No, you're the wrong guy to make that comment too.
So I come in there and I hit that thing. I hit it easily top end to 70, and I got it. It was what's really funny is it got so much height, more than anybody anticipated. They had lights on the 3-story building across the street, and the pan camera, the one that took the action from right to left, actually panned up into the lights.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. So anyway, that turned, and as it turned out, I mean, it didn't hurt me at all. But it was just one of those lucky things. You can do 100 of them, which I know you and I both have done 100 plus, and they're all different. The landings are all different. None of them are the same.
Yeah.
But that wasn't a bad one. It looked good.
Oh, it was scary, because then I thought, wow, if Gil Combs is doing that, that means we have to do that, or at least try to match it, because.
No, when they call you can just give my number,
Yeah. They're like, oh, we did call him, but he's busy. You worked all the time. You would be working on a show in the daytime and then do another film that night and then go back to set the next day.
I did that a lot in the early days. Boy, I couldn't do that anymore. I mean, hell, I can't stay awake at my age anymore. So
do you ever reflect back on, let me just, for those who are listening, let me just kind of go through some. I'm just going through your IMDb list. I'm sure you know that. I'm looking at some of these. That's why I got the Cannonball Run. And I see Honky Tonk Freeway and Death Wish 2, Star Trek, Blade Runner, The Sting 2. I see Stroker Ace, The Falcon and the Snowman, Wise Guys. I mean, the list is just, The Untouchables. What a classic movie.
Yeah. The Untouchables and Death Race, the latest, the later one with the British guy, the little kind of bald-headed British guy, a nice guy. I can't think of his name. Sorry.
You were in Lethal Weapon 2, Tango and Cash. I mean, just your resume just goes on and on and on and on. Did you have one particular blood in, blood out? Did you have one particular film that you go back and say, you know what, I had the best time. That was probably the highlight of my career that you reflect back on. And do you have a favorite?
Well, I got to tell you, I really was lucky to be on so many films, and I had a blast because, as you know, really it's hanging out with the other stunt guys that to me is the best part of what we do. We all work together and we make each other look good. We take care of each other. And that's the part that I miss the most. But I'd say if I had to pick one film that was my absolute favorite, it would be the original Blues Brothers.
Yeah, what a classic.
I mean, everybody, Tommy Huff and Eddie Dono and Mickey Gilbert and I mean, all these Bobby Bass. Actually, Bobby Bass lent me all of his pads and helmet to do my first turnover on that movie.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, it just, that would have to be my absolute favorite, is the Blues Brothers.
Gosh, I mean, what a classic film. Would to be able to say you worked on that.
Hell, what we make it in 78? I still get $150 a quarter for the damn thing. It might be the best paying one I ever did too. Come to think of it.
Hey, do you remember that pipe ramp you did, that turnover for Tony Scott when we were in Vegas? What was that? Beat the Devil, that BMW film?
You were driving. I was chasing you in the Firebird, and you're driving the BMW, doubling the Star. Yeah, that one.
And you had to go over the train.
That one knocked the living shit out of me.
That was Gil. That I've never in my lifetime seen a car go so high in the air and then lose all of its forward momentum, and then gravity just sucks you down to the asphalt upside down, and all of us just went, holy shit.
Yeah, it was a really weird deal because that's another one I hit at 70 or better, and because I needed to get the height, I almost had to center punch the ramp.
Yeah.
And so it came off really oddly. It was a ramp that I had built years ago with that in mind of getting up and over stuff. I had jumped cars over semi trucks and all kind of different stuff. So I brought my own ramp in, and because there was a headwind that day, that when I got up there, like you said, the geometry on this ramp basically gets the car almost nose straight up in the air, and then it rotates as you've seen, and you've done the same thing. And really, if the momentum could continue, it's actually a pretty cushy landing. You come in on the trunk, and that eats up a lot of the energy, and it's not a bad landing. But like you said, it got up there, and with that headwind, even though it was just maybe 7-8 miles an hour, it was just enough to stall it. And it stalled, and like you said, it came straight down instead of following through with the momentum that I thought I had. And of course, when it came right down on its top.
Oh, and it scared us all to death.
Yeah, they medevaced me out of there, and I actually spent the next 4 or 5 days trying to wake up while you were babysitting my young son in the hotel room.
Yeah.
Let me draw with the magic marker on the TV screen. Yeah, that one.
You still remember that, huh?
Oh yeah. And the bill I got for cleaning it up. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That kid now is 23 years old, going to be an engineer. So there you go.
No kidding. Wow. Yeah. The years go by so fast.
There you go. You go. How was
it for you working with Michael Bay on Bad Boys 2?
I mean, Michael is Michael. He's not a lot of fun most of the time. But we did a lot of great stuff. That's another one that where I did the cannon on the causeway there with that boat that fell off the trailer.
Oh,
that knocked me colder than a wedge. I thought it was a really good film, and it made a lot of money.
Yeah.
And
hey, what did you do on Walking Tall?
I actually was the semi truck driver near the beginning of the film, where they take The Rock, they beat him up, and they basically leave him for dead, throw him in some ditch or river or something, and it's raining. And he comes crawling out onto the highway, and I'm driving this lumber truck. It's got these trees, that they basically wanted to make sure that whoever was driving the truck didn't run over the actor. So,
yeah, that's a good thing.
So basically, that's really the only reason I was there is to drive the semi truck. But I mean, to his credit, he was the nicest guy. I mean, I was sitting there we were waiting for it to get dark to shoot. And he comes over to the truck. I'm just sitting up there in the truck, And he knocks on the door, and I opened it up, and he introduced himself, and then we shook hands, and seemed like a really wonderful guy, really nice guy.
Now, for a long time there, you were Jeff Bridges' stunt double, correct?
Yeah, I doubled Jeff for about 6 years on a handful or better films, and Jeff and I became really good friends, and we still stay in touch. Basically through his best friend, stand-in Lloyd Catlett.
Yeah, that's a nice man right there, Lloyd.
He is. He's a great guy, and he's been a very good friend. And Jeff's sick. He's been sick. He's been fighting cancer and stuff. And I understand he's doing well. He's doing okay. So
what a great man. I was fortunate enough to
sweetheart of a man.
Yeah, I did one movie with him called R.I.P.D. with David Ellis. Ryan Reynolds was in it with him and Kevin Bacon, and I got to hang out with him for about 6 months. I thought, wow, what a nice human being.
Yeah, no, he's a sweetheart. And what's really ironic, it's interesting that I've actually doubled both the brothers. Bo, I doubled him on Honky Tonk Freeway. You mentioned that a minute ago.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did all the driving for him. Of course, I mean, I'm a foot taller than Bo, but sitting in a car, you can't tell. We all know that.
Yeah.
But it was kind of cool. I got to double both brothers.
Wow.
My only regret, I wish I could have met his dad.
Oh.
Lloyd Bridges was one of my big heroes as a kid. Sea Hunt was maybe my favorite TV show when I was a young kid. I used to run home from school to try and catch Sea Hunt.
No kidding.
In the afternoons. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And to meet Lloyd would have been amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
I just unfortunately didn't get to.
So you would have to admit that well, you don't have to, but I would say like you mentioned a Jeff Bridges, and then you go, there are these other actors that you work with that are just, it's just ridiculous how pampered they are, and they create these little monsters and spoiled brats, and they're rude to the crew. And did you have one of those actors that you worked with that you just wanted to walk up and smack in the face and say, "Hey, behave"?
Oh yeah. I mean, I literally, I was actually ready to knock this guy out. Is it okay to say his name?
Sure.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't want to be indiscreet, and say his name, Sean Penn. But anyway,
I did a show with him. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I mean, he basically got in my face in the middle of the night in a street in Mexico City where I was stunt coordinator back on the thing that you read off my credits, Falcon and the Snowman. And, I was ready to knock this guy out.
No, was it Sean or was it Chris?
No. Chris and I worked together on another thing, but Chris was really nice.
Okay, so it was
I actually
Sean.
doubled Chris on something else. I don't remember the name of the show now, but Sean was there, and I had another guy doubling him. But we were having a disagreement about stunt driving and who could do it and who couldn't. Yeah, and as it worked out, the producers, because there was a big hubbub about it. John Schlesinger was the director, and they had some big name producers, and they had a big powwow because Sean wanted to do his own driving. And anyway, long story short, when it was over, they walked up and said, "Gil, you guys will do stunts, and Sean, you'll do the acting." And he lost his mind. Yeah,
he was. I know what you're talking about. I did a movie that he was directing called The Indian Runner or Indian Runner. And we were back in Iowa or something. It was 5 degrees below zero, snow everywhere. And myself and Andy Armstrong had to drive and make a left-hand turn on the street on the snow. And as you know, you got to slow down so you can make the turn. And Sean was like, "No, I want you guys going faster and pitching it sideways." And I said, "Do
you want me to just go on by? I can go as fast as you want.
But if
I'll go sideways, just go by. Yeah."
But I go, "Sean, if you want us to make that turn, then we got to slow way, way, way down." He goes, "Let me show you how to do it."
I wish I'd have been there for this.
He jumps in the police car, takes off down the street going twice as fast as I was going, attempts to make the turn, and goes off the road into this ditch, and this explosion of snow just goes in the air. Poosh!
Oh, my God.
All comes raining down, and it's just smooth powder. He's completely buried under the snow. And so we had to run over there and dig him out. And he's like, okay, you guys, it's really slippery. You need to go, go as slow as you need to go. You think so, Sean?
Yeah, you think?
Gosh.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Gil, I really appreciate you taking the time to come and share some of your stories with us.
Well, you know what? Thank you, my friend. It's great to talk to you. It's an honor to be on your show and that you think of me this highly. And, I miss you. I miss working with you. That's been the hardest part about having to retire. And is that, like I said, I miss my friends, and you're one of my best friends.
Well, you are missed, man, because you know what? We've learned, so many of us have learned so much from you. And you're that guy that, you always know that if something's not right, you come up and whisper in your ear and you tell me, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that. So thank you for always watching out for your little brother.
You were one of the few that would listen to me.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I'm going to listen to Gil because he's been there and done it. He knows what he's talking about. But hey, would you, in the future, if I called you up again, would you come and share some?
Anytime, buddy.
Awesome.
We need to start getting together when I come through town in LA again, have lunch and a drink or something like we've done in the past.
Absolutely.
I've kind of neglected that the last few times through town because, when I head back to Idaho, I always go through LA because I got to see doctors and family and stuff. So I'll be, I'm in town about a month going each direction between,
right. Give me a phone call next time. We'll get together.
I will. No, I definitely will.
All right, buddy. Gil, thank you so much. And everybody, thank you for listening to Stunt Stories.
God bless you, Corey.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.